Good evening, everyone. Today we are here to celebrate Women's Day. Although at times I wonder why do we even need this day? Because this is not like yesterday's when women were not allowed to speak, go to school, college, drive, work, and so on. Times have changed. Like all parents now proudly bring up their daughters like their sons. But no parent ever wants to bring up their son like their daughter. Anyways, that's a different discussion. So Women's Day is not about that. It's a day to celebrate. It's the day to celebrate the spirit, the courage, the stamina all women have shown to fight the various obstacles in life to gain significant progress. It is actually undeniable fact that there has been considerable improvements, not only for women, but as a result for our community and our nation. And it has been only possible because of some men and women. Yes, men, because we can't forget men like Raja Ram Mohan Rai. So it has been because of these people that the position of women have progressed and has been improved, and India has shown immense progress in fields of inclusivity and equality. So for me, International Women's Day, celebrated on March 8th every year, is an occasion to commemorate all these women and men who have fought for equality, empowerment, rights, peace, and justice for all. Here, the Indian Institute of Architects, West Bengal chapter, salutes all the women out there who are doing wonders all around the globe and making their nations proud, including India. India has seen a significant rise in the women empowerment, inclusivity, and in various sectors, including architecture. Sustainable solutions, sustainable designs are always inclusive, and celebrating Women's Day makes all the more sense in the context of sustainability. It is a pleasure this evening to hear from one of the most respected women architects of our country, architect Chitra Vishwanath, to talk about some of our works which dwell around the idea of inclusivity and sustainability. It is a pleasure to introduce architect Chitra Vishwanath. Coming from an artistic lineage with a father who is a sculptor and mother who is a homemaker, Chitra's educational journey began in Banaras. Her family's relocation in Nigeria in 1977 led her to pursue a civil engineering diploma at Auchi Polytechnic. In 1990, after completing her studies at the School of Architecture, CEPT, India, Chitra initiated her architectural enterprise in Bangalore. At BIOME, her aim has been to seamlessly fuse challenges regarding materials, ecology, requisites into holistic economic ecosystem design. It is mostly engaged in the realm of ecological architecture and innovative water and waste solutions. Chitra's involvement in education and design workshops is notable. She conducted a design workshop and monsoon semester in CEPT Ahmedabad and held the Charles Correa Academic Chair at Goa College of Architecture. Presently, she has served as a design mentor at NITTE Mangalore. Noteworthy highlights in her career include her role as a juror at the 2A Continental Architectural Awards in Madrid, participation as a judge at the Asia edition of YTAA 2020 conducted by Fundació Mie van der Rohe of Barcelona, contribution as a judge at the D&AD and DAZN Awards. I now call upon stage architect Vishwanathan to be felicitated by our own architect, Indrani Sarkar. Please, ma'am. representatives of Kone Elevators India Private Limited to come on stage, please. I would request Architect Shukarna Dasgupta, Architect Choitali Dotto and Architect Shuparna Bhattacharya to do the felicitation. I call upon stage Mr. Yatin Barot, Senior Regional General Manager Pune, Mr. Shamrat Mukherjee, Deputy General Manager Kolkata Branch Pune, and Mr. Shankadeep Thakur, Regional Senior Sales Manager Eastern Region Pune. On this very special event, I request the Chairman, Architect Ritam Sarkar, to deliver a welcome note, please.
Good evening, everyone. On this International Women's Day observation, I welcome all guests present today as we celebrate International Women's Day along with the incredible contributions of women in architecture. We take this moment to acknowledge the pioneering women who carved their own paths, leaving a lasting legacy on the built environment. Women architects are breaking new grounds, shattering stereotypes, and pushing the boundaries of design. Your dedication to sustainability, community engagement, and human-centered design inspires all of us. This year's theme for International Women's Day is Embrace Equity. In the field of architecture, equity means ensuring equal opportunities for women to participate at all levels, from conceptualizing groundbreaking designs to leading major projects. It means fostering more inclusive environments where diverse voices are heard and where creativity thrives. As we move forward, let's champion initiatives that support and empower women in architecture. Let's create a future where the architectural landscape reflects the brilliance of women's minds. Today's event is dedicated to celebrate women's achievements in architecture as we acknowledge the career of one of our finest architects, architect Chitra Vishwanath. Let's use this opportunity to share ideas, connect with each other, and continue the journey towards a more equitable and inspiring architectural future. Thank you once again to everyone for being here. Let's make this International Women's Day a day of celebration, reflection, and action. I especially thank Architect Chitra Vishwanath for taking out his precious time to share his few works and his incredible journey with us. Thank you, ma'am. I welcome everybody to today's program. Thank you.
We have a small award ceremony. The Indian Institute of Architects, to facilitate the involvement of students of architecture in its activities, affiliates institutes of architecture all over the country and also encourages student membership. Towards this overall objective, the IIA Mumbai, through the Institutional Affiliation and Students Affairs Committee, announced in August 2023 the institution of an annual award, IIA Medal, to recognize the best outgoing student of the year from architectural institutions affiliated to IIA. The IIA Committee, Mumbai, has recommended Ms. Urbi Jana of Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, Shibpur, for the award of IIA Medal for Best Outgoing Student of the Year 2023. I request Architect Vishwanathan to please come on stage to hand over the award to Urbi. Urbi, please come on stage. Congratulations, Urbi. best wishes to Urbi Jana. Please take your seat here. Ma'am, request you to wait a moment because the moment has finally arrived for you to deliberate on your speech for our gathering together today. Thank you.
Thank you, IIA chapter, for inviting me. It's really nice to be here in Calcutta. Love this city. I've been here quite many times when I was in Banaras. I used to come here for the Durga Puja. And I've come here many a times. We both have worked together. Yeah, but after that, I think it's the first time I'm coming after, I think 6-7 years back we came. So I call this trajectories of BIOME in terms of what we have done, different projects. Mr. Sarkar was insistent that I show my projects. Usually I end up talking ideas rather than projects. So for me, this presentation is the first time I'm putting so many projects together. And it's also a very difficult task. I have the task of choosing from too many projects. I'm not being immodest, I'm not bragging things, but we have almost, in past 33 years of our practice, we've done about 1,000 projects. But 1,000 projects of various scales. I really started my journey with very small projects to now we are having larger projects. So picking that up is very difficult, whereas it's easier to talk ideas. And one has got used to talking ideas. So please see this as work in progress. Some places I might also falter, so just accept it. So I picked up this presentation. I based it on a book which we have released. This is called BIOME Diary. And this is like all of them together. We had initiated this project during COVID. We had people in the office, not much work happening, what to do, and we discovered that there was great talent in the office. And let's just do this. And we were able to document some of the works which we had never documented. So make drawings and stuff like that. And we created this book, which is A5 size. It's not those what the architects usually make, not A4, maybe A3 and gray and black. You know, I'm also wearing a lot of black, but usually it will be like that, thick, very difficult to open. You can't take it to the bed and, sleep off, or you can't carry it in a handbag. Very important. So this, we decided we'll make it. So this is A5, easy to carry in a handbag. You can take it in a bus, read it, put it back. And it's in 3 stages. So it's called, and it goes like this: now, then, and emergence. So now is what we are doing now. It was during the COVID times, and what are the projects we were working on. And from 1991 to 2023, it's kind of divided in 3 stages of the office itself. So now is when it began as BIOME, and then is when it was Chitra Vishwanath Architects. I started my practice in 1991, and for the lack of any imagination, it was just called Chitra Vishwanath Architects. In fact, many times earlier, I didn't even write architect or name or anything. Then when it became a little more formal, the office people started writing, and we had that. In 2008, we changed the name to BIOME Environmental Solutions because we found ourselves working a lot on building with earth and working on water, both rainwater harvesting and wastewater designs. While obviously one is working on energy issues too. But more importantly, it became a place where there were people interdisciplinary. People who are working on water as well as working architects and engineers, everybody together. So we said we should call our office BIOME. BIOME means ecology of a place. So these are 3 small books, and the jacket is an imaginary landscape with BIOME buildings, and then the water and wastewater. So I begin with this quote from the book. Rahul wrote the foreword for the books, and he mentions the projects are highly inconsistent. And take it as a something which is great to be told this. Because what is consistent? Consistent is your signature. Probably in 10th standard, you opened a bank account, and that same silly signature remains throughout your life. That is very childish, but it remains. So that is consistency. But you grow. And in growth, you have inconsistencies. A tree doesn't grow straight and proper. It turns around. It takes what happens with the nature and stuff. So I find that it's something which is a praise rather than a critique. And he continues further, and he talks that inconsistency is the consistency, where there is a theme, but the designs are different. And so in the office, we are right now 4 senior architects. I have 2 colleagues who have been with me for 20 and 15 years. So they are architects on their own. So their idea of the design is different from ours. But there is a consistency in the material used, in terms of also the thought process involved. And so this is what you would find even in the presentation. Some things which will be unsettling. They're not the architecture with capital A. So we begin with the now. This was the office. This was office cum house. We designed in 2008. So we've been doing in Bangalore really small projects in small plots. Even now in Bangalore, you will be able to design a home. But it will be and also in small plots. So it's really a credit to the city of Bangalore that people go to architects for as small a project as they feel like to. So this is on a plot size of 30 feet by 50 feet, which is a very common plot size. And like all BIOME homes, it has a basement. We will always have basement because we take the earth out from the basement and build with it. So there will be basement and then the rest of the house. So this basement is where we get the soil from. Plus, it's a space you cannot add later. Thirdly, it's a space which is 22 degrees centigrade throughout the year. Bangalore is getting hot. Right now it is 34 degrees. We are all complaining. You might be finding it very, good weather here, but for us 34 is very hot. And so that remains. And we see this in our ideas as probably in future, most of the arid parts of India have to have a basement because that's climate resistance. And the office. So again, we always have a mezzanine in Bangalore, and so in the office too. Office is also built with earth. Office has the same character as what we'll be designing with. So that's the office. It used to be called 1022. That's the office inside. So we were here from 2008 to 2017 in this space. We moved here after we moved out of my basement in the house, which was a 300 square foot space. We moved to 800 square foot space and added a space nearby, 400. Then it was becoming tight, and it's nice that the city offered us projects of different scale even at that time, and we could have more people working with us. So it's a house in the city. In fact, for the family, this is their third house. So a house built around a courtyard, passages. The courtyard is as such a run for the dogs, and also space for getting light and ventilation within. The outsides are not very interesting. So most of our homes are looking inside. The same house, this luckily has a garden, and this is the way the rainwater is collected, filtered, and it goes under in a sump tank under the garage. Walls built with mud blocks or compressed stabilized earth blocks, walls of compressed stabilized earth blocks. So this earlier picture was in the peri-urban area of Bangalore, and this is within the city. This is in Indiranagar. A long plot of about 60 feet by 120 feet, and two sisters wanted their own homes, as well as one home which was to be rented. So this is what it is: one house, another house, and the rental area, and you could see each one. And all of it opens to one side and not a courtyard. Each one of them opens in the north to a garden, because the building on the other side was too close and high and also very ugly, so it felt better to open here. The inside, so while this is in the city, it follows still the similar use of material, and that's like what Rahul is saying is the consistency. Stabilized earth block walls of wire-cut bricks. Continuing further, so since 2008 we've been having larger projects, and there are quite a few schools we're doing. So this is a school in the city called Buddhi School. It's a very interesting part is that it's about 10,000 square feet of the plot. The school follows a board which is from New Zealand. I forget the name of the board. So the classrooms are really small in terms of the number of students, will be 5 or 10 max. But now this had to be built really fast. And where do I get the soil from? And it's interesting to note that part of this plot, almost like this way, half was rock, and the other part had soil. Now, how do you place the building? You know, you would it was a rock shelf, and we could have, and we did propose that we will show the rock shelf. The school principal said, no, I don't want children to be falling on it. Then how do I now use this site? So we decided that we will create a large water tank here, which will collect the rainwater. So it's about 1.2 lakh liters of water it collects. And why did we decide that? Because this wasn't getting any municipal connection. So right now what you're hearing about Bangalore are in the places where there is no, what we call as Kaveri connection. There is no connection from the municipality there. It's mostly dependent on groundwater. And that's where we are having issues, and there's a larger understanding which needs to be known about it. But so similarly over here, there was no what we call as Kaveri connection, and they were dependent on their borewells, which were in this part of the land. Besides that, this plot also was not connected to the sewage system. At that time, the sewage system hasn't come. So we had to also treat their wastewater. It is in this part of the site we treat the whole wastewater. And this has to be finished in 8 months. Now, when we do such construction, the first thing they come is, if you do this, if you don't have frames, if you don't put concrete block and plaster paint, will it be faster? Because we are going to say we're going to make the blocks at the site. The site, this area was, and there was a plot outside where we could make blocks. So now first thing was to dig the underground. We went about 10 feet below the ground where the soil was soft, took out the earth, and that's the water tank. So we got about 80% of the soil for construction. The rest 20% had to be brought from elsewhere. And this is all load bearing, and we decided on in a system where this is for ventilation, would be easier, faster, fixed glass for light coming in. And this was finished in 8 months, about 15,000 square feet. This is how it is inside. Also, the whole school is totally accessible. So the change of levels which are happening because of the site itself is all taken care with ramps. Inside you have a lift as well as the toilets for disabled. The classroom. So what you would see consistently is walls which are brown. The color comes from whatever you place inside. The color doesn't come from the walls. And it's rarely white. And this is how the city is around the school. So that's the playground. And we added this much later where the borewells are, but we have covered it up for the children to have a shaded place to play. And the city is growing. When we were building this, we had only these homes. And these were small homes. Now you're breaking those small homes and building higher. That's how the real estate market is changing. Now, if you have a plot which is of a certain size, that's the amount of rain which falls on the plot. And now you suddenly are making it 6 times. And that also is that additional issue with what's happening in Bangalore. So we are doing both. You are asking the problem in Bangalore, everybody would ask about water, but this is why it is. Whereas this school, even at this time, is been able to manage with its own water, its own borewell. It has borewell because we recharge there, and we use the treated wastewater. We treat it to such an extent that you could use to flush, and for the past 13 years, they've been using the same water because it gets treated within the plot, it's used to flush. The kitchen water adds it, and the extra water sometimes, if it's rained more, we use it to dilute, but otherwise it's the same water which is. So initial investment was high, but it makes sense in the long run. At the same time, we were doing another school. This is in Coimbatore called Yellow Train. And this was in the outskirts of the city. And this is in Coimbatore. So we don't know where to go for soil, the right soil to make the blocks. But we want to make blocks. Also, the whole thing is that people come to BIOME expecting it to be an earth construction. So we have to also satisfy that. So how do we get earth here? And in Tamil Nadu, they don't allow classrooms in the basement, which is a good thing. So then, if you can't have classrooms in the basement, and this was a larger school, where do I get earth from? So we decided, you see this level and this level, the difference is 1.5 meters. We decided to dig not only for classrooms, but also for the playground. You dug extra, and you had enough and more blocks for even the second phase. So that's what you would see here. And again, everything is load-bearing, so the in-between beams are also avoided by putting arches, and these roofs are with something we call precast arch panels. These are also made with earth. It's a precast system, which is for the beams as well as for the panels, made on the ground, lifted up and placed, and finished in 8 months. So it's quite hot, hottest in Coimbatore, and the passages can be made more interesting. So we decided to have play space in passages. We did provide generous passage spaces, fun spaces, also play spaces. Children go up by the slide. There are spaces for, there is staircase, there is ramp for the adults. And then you create little pieces of interest within the school also, within the classroom. That's a typical classroom. Children sit on the floor, so you have ventilation at their level. Again, similar to buddhi, the way for light from the upper level. Going further, this is a project we've been associated for 13 years. It's hopefully over. And this is 80 acres of land. This is for ISKCON. They came to us to train their devotees to build with earth. So they had heard of rammed earth. Everybody hears of rammed earth much more than compressed stabilized earth block. It's interesting, yesterday I had a research student from Germany. He said rammed earth basically is moving into a concrete wall, smooth surface. All architects like smooth surface, so they just move to rammed earth rather than blocks. So anyways, these people from ISKCON contacted us, we went, we taught them how to do rammed earth, and they said, that's very difficult. We are devotees, we can't be working with our hands so much. We'd rather pray and do pujas than do this job. So then they wanted a larger project to happen, which would be more, it began as a retreat and a place where people could be coming to learn, etc. But then it became also a space for hospitality because it just become very popular. So the first job was, how do I get earth to build from? But parallelly, we are thinking of water. We did a hydrogeological survey. There is a hill here, so we made a large pond of about 100 feet dia. That's where the recharge happens, and this is where the discharge happens. So there is a well here, and we take the water out. So we got earth from here, as well as a farmer wanted the land leveled. With that, we built. So right now, we've done about 3 lakh square feet of construction there, and it's all from the earth from there. And more than that, what we find great is that now the masons and the people the engineers are experts in building with earth. The local people are using a lot of earth blocks now, so there is a small interest group created now. People are interested in using earth blocks rather than bricks, and there are other architects also employing the masons. So this is the first set of buildings, and interesting was that it rains there, 4,000 mm. It's a composite climate, unlike Bangalore where it's 970 mm, here's 4,000 mm. So how do you now protect the wall? What kind of mix do you use? All that was resolved and worked out, but the most important part was that one had to do a huge roof projection. The roof projections work at keeping the wall dry. And wherever we don't have roof projection, this happens. But that's okay as a garden wall, and since we used lime, it doesn't erode. The rest of the buildings are like this. Besides that, we also added these kind of a barsati kind of a structure to allow for airflow in the summer. And the worst climate is not exactly summer. Worst climate is the humid times where the temperature is high, 80%, 90% humidity. We worked for those climate. And this got Griha's 5-star rating, one of the first buildings which got 5-star rating. That's one of the meeting halls. It changed. Suddenly the clients have gone 2 floors above. And they start seeing more space. And they start insisting that we should have terrace. This is great. We are seeing terraces. And we are confronted with the quality of work. We kept saying that you cannot do a good job of waterproofing. Especially if this is 100 kilometers from Mumbai. You're not going to get the best people to do the job. But they insisted. So in this part of the project, they wanted flat roofs. We managed to keep these projections to protect the wall, and it happened. it started leaking. So then they added the next roof. So this is a learning for us, is that we have now here worked with no PMCs, no engineers. There were engineers who were probably software engineers, those devotees, and there was one civil engineer, but no, they haven't worked at site. And we were making drawings in such a way that every mason can read the drawing. It's like a comic strip, easy to understand and do the drawing. But so the construction, though we are going to use earth, the construction also has to be easy enough for people to understand and build. And this is what was interesting part of it. How do you communicate? Because you can't keep going there. But we used to go at that time every month for 3 days. But the project, in fact, basically began after 8 months of discussion. So you knew the land better. But more than that is, how do you communicate and get the details well? And then they wanted hospitality, because now a lot of people are coming. They charge some 10,000 rupees for these rooms or something. With, you get good ISKCON food and stuff like that. Though it began that it will be free accommodation, so it became hospitality, and you have this very shiny floors and shiny furniture. But this all one has to confront and kind of accept and kind of take it along with it, because the whole idea is that they're still building with earth. And they're still listening to all these things, but now this has AC, because you have people coming from Mumbai. They come in their cars, which will be 18 degrees. When they come here, they feel very hot. So it's quite comfortable. You open the door, you get very nice breeze, and it's nice. So this was the latest. And over here too, we created that roof to protect. And that became this roof, the upper roof. And that's where the trusses are, and you also have small spaces where people can use it for certain purposes, like meeting for bhajans, etc. So same time, while when we were just finishing in over the Nico village, Eklavya contacted us. They went to GV to see what we do, and that's how they're testing different architects, and we designed for them. This is in Bhopal. It's an NGO which works on propagating science in the villages, and they make very nice books for children. So in this project, our raison d'etre is this wall. This wall is a louvered wall to keep the inside spaces cool. Eklavya prints books, so it stores a lot of paper. And it also took about 6 years for the project to happen, but the first 3 years was just negotiation on land. This was a nice NGO which wouldn't fight with anybody else, so the city took part of their land, the neighbors took part of their land, and it kept becoming thinner and thinner. In fact, when the earlier design was a doubly loaded corridor, much broader, thank you, but it became much thinner building. And the paper storage came into the southwest corner of the whole building, and it's very hot. How do I protect it? How do I shade it? But while we were discussing, somebody told that you get a lot of, from the kabadiwalas, a lot of louvers, waste louvers from the railways. So we said, so this is 6 years earlier, we said, yeah, we will collect that and we put this into the design. This is how we'll shade this corner. By the time we reach the end of the project, we go to the kabadiwalas and there are no louvers. There are louvers. Earlier we had seen aluminium louvers, but now we have only fiberglass louvers. You don't find any metal now with our kabadiwalas because it can be recycled. Now we said, we're very happy, we'll pick up this, and we use the fiberglass louvers in the building, shades it. Also, it gives spaces for birds to make nests. The latest picture also has birds sitting there. So it's becoming a part of the ecosystem. And we didn't paint. We left it the way it is. Some of them are broken. We didn't want to do anything more than what we got. But we made the structure for it, the steel structure, and this. This is how it is. Its roof is designed for solar purpose as well as for sleeping in summer, because this is also has accommodation. So it treats its wastewater and uses it for its gardening purpose. The same building. In 2017, we moved from about 1,200 square feet space to we moved to a 4,000 square feet space. So it's fun. So note all these while, we've been only building with earth. We began as one person, now we've become about 30 people in the office. But it's great, it feels great that you could still continue building with earth and continue with the same concept. So that's the office, built on a floor above of this house, which was, we had remodeled, we had altered in 2006, this house. So we always have offices which are able to project what our ethos, and mostly in our client's own buildings. So Mr. Arakere one day called me up and said, you can take my first floor, because only my mother is staying in the ground floor and he stays in Florida. So he said, no, your first floor is not enough. We need one more floor above. So he said, okay, you design and build. So we're paying rent, but it's a space which we have designed for ourselves. And the client paid us fees also for that. He paid to build it. And what's interesting is again the same ethos of mezzanine, this, all the time interconnected. That's the reception. From the reception you can see the workspace as well as the mezzanine. So you can stand here and talk to somebody here. And so this is what happens. This is the workspace. You can talk to the mezzanine. And you can be in the library below. And that's the workspace, which we're very lucky. Within the plot, we have 3 trees, letting also some vines grow up. So everybody could see a green wall outside, greenery outside. So our arrangement is this way, so that nobody says, I'm next to the window. Everyone can see, even if one is about 25 feet away. So now the then, which is the serendipity of time and place. Why the time and place? We began in 1991 when India changed from a socialist regime to a capitalist regime, and the place is Bangalore. That's the city which embraced capitalism first. Everybody came to Bangalore because of the wonderful climate and also availability of people who could work in software and hardware, everything to do with internet and whatever those technologies. So yes, in the beginning it was a lot of learning from Laurie Baker. He was known in South. I studied in Ahmedabad, didn't know much about Baker. I knew about Richard Rogers and others, but not much about Baker. And he was doing such good work in Kerala that we were not taught. And great work happening at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. So this is the first house for my husband's uncle, where we've used rat trap bond for walls, as Baker says, but we've used the roofing system, what was developed in Indian Institute of Science with Professor Yogananda. It was difficult to convince people to think of earth as building material because Karnataka Housing Board had built this large housing. It touted it as world's largest mud colony, which survived for about 5 years. We didn't survive, it kept eroding. Yes, architects are also to be blamed because there were bad details. Then the corruption by the engineers. So the blocks were not well compacted or well stabilized. So people were scared. They didn't want to use earth at all. But they knew this is happening in next door in Kerala, and we could use that. So we used a lot of wire-cut bricks. We kept searching. We'll go to different brick kilns, bring the bricks, leave it for 2 days in a bucket. If it hasn't become soil, then we'll use those. And we're getting small projects. So this is a project we did in about 20 days. Bus shelter converted into a classroom for the Spastic Society, which didn't have a classroom for children on wheelchair for arts. And so, what happens after 30 years? We go and we find that it's still there. It was a temporary building. It was done with just 4.5 inches walls. It's still there. They just changed the roof. They have the money, they change the roof. And the inside, they made it brighter and colorful. More of similar homes. So still a lot of homes. Once in a way, a classroom. Again, at the same time, moving away from Baker, thinking of different things in the design. So again, a system of roof called arch panels, which was developed at Indian Institute of Science, using it for roofs, as well as using waste. All the time one is seeing waste around. And at that time, in 90s, it was waste which was quite what we would say as organic stone. We didn't have so much of plastic and others. But the idea of using waste is now kind of becoming entrenched in our minds, building as a waste sink. But this house, it's a beautiful house, I must say, but it kind of was the last straw in terms of using rat trap bond walls and filler slabs, because it was just getting expensive. So what Baker espoused as something of a frugality, it had started becoming not frugal at all. This used to cost a lot. And we wouldn't get the 5th grade tiles Baker would say you should bring. We wouldn't get that. The clients won't agree to bringing tiles which have a crack or something, and they wouldn't leave it without finishing it this way. So we said, we have to think otherwise. We can't continue this, and it just doesn't feel right to be saying it's a Baker kind of design and something which is so expensive, and you're bringing material from all over and using also a lot more material. And luckily, so that's the serendipity. We decided we have to build our own house. And in a plot which is 30 feet by 50 feet, and how do we design? We go there, we see neighbor digging for his foundation, and here's the most beautiful red lateritic earth, and we decide we will do a basement. Because one had seen that just from the foundation you don't get enough earth. So he said, we'll do a basement. And from the basement took out the earth and built the whole building. Also a small house next door at the same time. And it's just the beauty of it. And I think I should mention this especially because this is a Women's Day event. So I was building these homes in almost peri-urban areas, because that's what Bangalore had done. It had opened up land around. People were able to even buy land through loans. Earlier, otherwise, you have to only retire with your provident fund. You have to buy a land and make a house. I remember doing one project, and I went away home for my delivery, and I come back, and I see this client at the site, and I didn't recognize him. He came and told me it's him, because he was standing at the site in the sun and had darkened and thinned down, because he's already 65 years old who was trying to stand at the site and build. But here now there are younger people. By 95, when we're building, they're younger people, they're buying plots, they're buying small plots, they're trying to build. But these are families. And these families, the women have a voice. And they find it they found it very, what do I say, comforting that here is a woman who will listen to us. Because architect men, I'm not saying anything wrong, you people don't listen to women. A lot of time. I have my colleagues, they say, oh my God, we have to do this tile selection. But that is what you will read Poetics of Space by Bachelard and say, oh wow, how he's saying how people embrace the home. How is the woman embracing? You will read, but you won't put it into exercise. You won't go and sit and listen how you want the kitchen to be, how you want the toilets to be, and other stuff. So they found it easy for it. But I also brought with me masons. I also was able to not only design, but be able to build. Because it's not possible to just say in the drawing, this is rat trap bond wall, this is filler slab, if you don't know how to build it. And we had also worked out that we will be able to give a costing, an estimate before it's finished. So before you start the project, you have an estimate. You know how much it would cost. Sign for getting a loan. Everything was there. So this whole process was there. I think being a woman helped. In the terms that you understood that what they would ask, people making houses would ask. So I was asked by somebody from Delhi at that time is, how does your practice survive making homes? Architects are not making homes. But I was making homes. When I was doing my own house and I used to complain, I was doing 22 projects just by myself. So I keep complaining I didn't have enough details here and there are some errors which I don't like. Yeah, I had to live with it. But besides that, so this is, as usual, this is the basement. What I would say is not the best basement we designed because I didn't know about how to build a basement, how to get light, how to get air. But we have done much better basements later. Earth was removed from here. And being Bangalore's climate, where it's colder in the night and daytime can be warm, have mezzanines to sleep. So mezzanines incorporated. And all of it was also measured. And this is the beginning of making of smart roofs. A roof which would provide for biodiversity, one of the most important factors. It would provide for food, drinking and cooking water. This is the 1,000-liter, this is the 500-liter tank, which is giving us drinking and cooking water throughout the year, taken from a clean roof. So you can do anything on this roof. You can we grow rice, and we have a dry toilet called EcoSan toilet where we manufacture, and this is also in fact a toilet, and use the urine and fecal matter for the soil to grow food because that's a fertilizer, treat the wastewater on the roof. So now the roof becomes a smart roof. It gives you energy, it gives you food, it takes care of your water needs and takes care of food too. Besides, once you make it green, it's also great for biodiversity and it cools the lower level. That's the inside of the house. And this post our house, we first did Georgina's here. So this is the Silvipura homes. Then we did her brothers and her friends and her friends and her friend's niece in one row. All small plots, really small homes. The largest home is 800 square feet. The smallest was about 200. All built with earth. So at the same time, one started getting noticed. So here is Jenny Pinto, who is a designer, who's also a filmmaker, and she works with paper. Especially she works with banana fibers and makes paper with it. She used to, and she wanted a workshop. Yeah. In fact, the association began with even selecting the plot. So the workspace is built around a courtyard. Most of the workspace is semi-open. paper uses a lot of water, so they treat their wastewater through the DVAT system. That's what they make. So you make roofs in such a way that they can hang. And this is all lamps with paper. I want to show. I really like this project a lot. And especially because this was mentioned in a book along with Glenn Murcutt. So I met Murcutt sometime in 2010, I think I'd gone, and was having dinner, and I was silly enough not to take that book where I could have got his autograph, but he said, so I told him we are together in a book, and he said, is that the building with the staircase? And to tell you what, it no longer exists. This has been brought down about 3 years back. It's the large plots and the size of the real estate. So this is a small school again called Promise Center. It's a school and 3 homes in a plot which is 50 feet by 150 feet. So 5 30 feet by 50 feet plots were taken and the school was made. Sometime in 1998, that's the inside of it. So the buildings usually don't look very glamorous from outside. But I find that they're extremely fun places to be in, especially if one is doing schools. So these are thin walls of 6 inches, very tight budget. So at that time, we were also confronted with very tight budgets, small plots, tight budgets. So where all do you save? You save even the foundation. How do you make foundations which could be cheaper? How do you make walls which could be cheaper? But luckily, we didn't have to do anything more. Maximum a little plaster or a little paint. Like here, they have painted the flat panels, but otherwise nothing else. And this was also done later. We didn't do it. So because of the slope of the roof, you get a mezzanine for children to sleep in. This another school at the same time, again with a basement. The basement gives us the earth to build the whole school. So this Matru School for Blind happened in 2005. This is a project we started. And this was started near our home. And you need patrons. So we tried something new when we made our own home, or the first home when we learned how to build with rat trap bond in my uncle's house. Then we did our own house. And this Professor Rajgopalan's house was the next patron for us, where we used our waste in Bangalore. At that time, there was no treatment facility which would take away the computer peripherals. That built with part tram dirt, walls, and arch foundations. That's how it is, all of it. That's how it looks inside. You have vaulted ceiling, you have domed roofs. So we come to what's happening now. So we don't get just one project from a place, we usually get repeat. So you saw Ashish and Shanti's house. We have done their 3 homes, their parents' home, their brother's home, so like that, and their aunts. So this is what's the power of when you do homes. Word of mouth things. So similarly for Matru, we did the school, and just now we did this. And here, these windows came from a house we had demolished in the project. Even for the blind school, we used the windows from a house we had demolished, and we were redoing it. And somehow when we get this project, we are also demolishing another building, and we always have steel windows. And Mukta, who runs this NGO, loves steel windows. And this is within the city. There's a main road. They had 3 trees, and she wanted to cut off the trees. We had to have a lot of conversation. She wanted to cut off the tree because the building won't be seen. We had to talk, let's just first finish the building, let the children use it. Imagine children seeing birds on the tree. Imagine children seeing the flowers turning into mango fruits. And then you still want to cut, we can discuss. But she agreed and it remained, the trees remain. That's the inside. A mix of the old windows and jollies, with metal jollies. This is another school which is at, in the city, but it came with a rider that I have a 100 feet by 100 feet plot. That's the access road. And we want to make this building. We have the land for 5 years and it's on lease. We don't know what happens later. So this whole idea of using waste, using something else available from nearby was fine. You could do that. But what happens in a new design? Is it possible that the new design becomes a quarry for the future? That's the concept we took here forward and decided how we build. And we had a window of 4 months to design and build this project. So it also had to be fast-tracked and within a budget. So here we used a lot of steel as well as GI sheet for roof. The walls are of paper tubes which separate the spaces. The spaces are these are the classrooms, so that's why we could use curved walls. Because it's a large 100 feet by 100 feet space, there will be a lot of reverberation. So which material do we use? We decided to use paper tubes and a lot more of wood. The ceiling is sheets, bamboo sheets we got from Assam. The clients were from Assam, so something, a memory which comes here. And also they brought some furniture from Assam. So the whole of this column can be taken apart. Even the flooring can be taken apart. It's just paver block. So you can remove that and also use the sand or here quarry dust once you give up the building. But it's now about 8 years. I think they've renewed the lease, so it's still there. This is school. It had to follow Vastu, but it gave us the opportunity to It gave us the opportunity to provide mezzanines for children and create fun spaces. Kids walk through this, adults can't. So now the new kind of projects we are having are land developments. People from the city want to move out, and you have large plantations which are not being profitable, especially tea and coffee. So there they want to create hospitality or also real estate. But in such a way, like here at Bee Forest, what they're doing is that those who buy the land there are stewards of the land. So this is contiguous to a reserved forest. And so we had also, luckily, wildlife enthusiasts and as our consultants who told us where we could, how much of the land should be left for wildlife, should not be even used for plantation. And after that, the decision was taken to get buildings as close as possible, so the infrastructure will be less and leave the rest of the forest. But we're doing about 6 such projects, and in sloping terrain. This is the first building we did there, called Blighton Bungalow, built with laterite, which was available over there, but the rest of it will be built with earth. This is a hospital project in Bhagalpur, Bihar. It's our 7th year with them. We probably have done 30% of the work. It's very tough. We made a lot of blocks there, but to get the right kind of work done, for even the PMC to understand how to do a simple wall. It's amazing that civil engineers now don't know forget how to build with masonry, but how to do a clean wall itself, to learn how to take levels and thickness of mortar to be remaining same. They just have no idea. So we had to write method statements of how to make a wall. Anyways, these are learning school which is happening. It's for naturopathy, so it won't have that kind of clean room requirement. This is a project we recently finished in Tadoba, Wildlife Lodge. So the first thing we did was to make a pond and capture all the water which was otherwise coming and flooding the whole land. So it comes from this side where there's a hill and the road, water comes, and we got the earth to build the rest. Well, it's a double wall, adobe inside and outside stone because it's really hot there. It goes up to 50 degrees. But we also worked with Center for Science for Villages, with Varda, to make these roofs. That's the Varda conical tile roof here, and the insides are adobes. That's the dining. Okay. Yeah, we put the swimming pool below and shaded it because otherwise you can't use it at all in the daytime. So we also get called. We also are surprised that we were called for this. Railways Training Institute, we knew we just a filler. There is somebody else who will get the project. We knew it very well, but we were getting paid also, so it's good. So we said we should try something which is different. We don't have to work at something which would appeal to them, but let's just enjoy doing this. So there was a heritage building, we kept that. And it was a heavily wooded site. There was a park across. So we said, let's make a bridge for the wildlife to move across the two and create this above the ground. What does this remind you of? The walking cities. So we lifted everything up, allow for wildlife, allow for nature to be below, and build above. And here everything is worked out in terms of how much energy would be needed, how are you going to take out hot air, how are you going to catch water, put water underground. But the question asked was, how are the classrooms, how many people will sit in the classroom? But we enjoyed this 2.5 months of doing the design. So this is the professor's house, you saw. When we bought the plot, we bought it at, I think, 230 rupees a square foot. By 2017, it was 25 times, so do the maths. It's almost 5,000 plus rupees a square foot. So it went up for sale. Nobody buys a building. A builder bought the land and he broke it. It took us 12 months to build. This was 300 steps from our house, so the whole office worked on it. We used to be there day and night. And then a JCB, which is now the favorite thing of the government, no? Which comes here too, came here, broke it. He didn't even take the windows, except some of the wooden doors and stuff, broke everything, and that's what was left. So, like, we began with the review. So this is what we find in our works. We have a lot of variety of work happening in the office right now. We're doing about maybe 5-6 homes, 3 schools, hospitality, this housing and everything. It's just a variety, and we still are learning stage. I'm sure many younger practices are looking at us and are learning details from us, but we are always in the learning curve because new challenges come to us. When we began, we didn't have anything to really see and say, okay, Corbusier designs like this, that's nice, so that's a benchmark. I could get something like that and design. We had no benchmarks. We have work where Satprem and Suhasini were doing projects in Auroville, but when I began, I didn't even have time or money to go to Auroville and learn something. So everything had to be almost learned at site. But we kept improving, and thankfully, we are still working on the similar projects. But this is really which I find the best piece of architecture. Bihu girls in Assam. So I used to really document these. This is a Bihu girl with straw. You can walk in it. You can sit and have chai. It's just beautiful, the kind of light which comes. And then this will be burnt. The temporality of it. So this is such a beautiful structure they make. It gets burnt. So I have to accept what we made earlier, that they will also break. Thank you.
Thank you, Architect Vishwanath, for sharing such fascinating works with us. And your journey, your sensitivity towards architecture, ecology, and the placemaking will continue to inspire architects for generations. And thank you once again. We now will go through a quick presentation by Kone Elevators India Private Limited. I request everyone to please be seated as our sponsors will make their presentation. Thank you, Kone, for supporting this event in celebrating the spirit of Women's Day. And also congratulations for your achievements and best wishes. Okay, so this was like a short break. I request everyone to please be seated, because after the presentation of Architect Vishwanath, you must be having some questions. So if you have any, kindly, ma'am is here, so she would like to address them. Yeah, you can come here.
Good evening, ma'am. So regarding this Bangalore water crisis that is happening, so I was reading in this that there's something called people in Bangalore wanting lake view flats, and so large constructions have happened in the past 10-20 years which are kind of blocked the rainwater into those artificial lakes that are present in Bangalore, and so the groundwater has reduced to a lot of levels. So who are we to blame in this scenario? Is it the architects? Is it the people? Like, what do you feel about it?
Yeah, people. People don't have any, I would say citizens, yes, that citizens have to also play the part in knowing how things are changing in the city. It's the people who go and buy the flats in such places. So we have had one news item. I haven't used the toilet. I couldn't use the toilet because there is no water. I do not want to now. I was thinking of buying a flat in this fancy building, building, and now I won't buy because there are these problems. First, as a citizen, you have to question, where is your water coming from? Where is the air coming from? And as a citizen, what are you doing about conserving water? Are people asking such questions? Are people spending money on these? None. We were in an architects group. I posted that in Bangalore, it really works very well to recharge the water. To recharge the water, we make something called recharge wells. And they have given results. So we've been using them in different parts of Bangalore. water tables have gone up, soil moisture has gone up, etc. But if you write to, and this is an architect's group, what's needed is 3 feet dia and 21 feet deep. That's the depth recommended in Bangalore soil to recharge water. First question the architects ask is, will we get water after we dig? You know the phrase, it's recharge well. It's not an artesian well, it's a recharge well. Understand, as architects, we have to, high time we stop looking at this space alone we make. How will the building survive? That's the way you have to do. So I had to give an explanation, the difference between an artesian well and a recharge well. Afterwards, but we don't have space. Land cost is so high, we don't have space. So my friend, a cartoonist, wrote, you have space for SUV, you have space for puja room, you spend money for marble, you have attached toilets, but you have no space for water. I said, if you have no space for all this, then you suffer. So as architects, you have to design, you have to talk about it. So lakes in Bangalore are called tanks. They're human-made. They're not a spring which fills up. And because of the geography of Bangalore, the lakes have been formed. And the lakes were where they collected the rainwater and used it for agriculture. It was never for drinking water. The lakes allowed the water to go down, and from the open wells, water was used for drinking, cooking, and other purposes. So first one has to understand that bit. And lakes never served Bangalore well. When it was just 3 lakh population in 1920s or 40s, 1 lakh died, even though we had thousands of lakes, because lakes were not giving water. So let's not think lakes provided drinking water. Now we are 11 million, so it's a lot more number of people. So let's forget the lakes as being provider. But we have this problem because we desilted lakes in south of Bangalore, and we've been desilting. In fact, we should have known that this would happen, and we should have stopped desilting and allowed water to percolate when we had rains last year, and we would have had water in the open. So there is a big difference, and in terms of understanding of water. The rich pay just about 16 rupees a kiloliter in Bangalore. As such, if they pay 90 rupees a kiloliter, we won't have problem of water, because the government can spend money on bringing more water, can improve the infrastructure, can repair the pipes, can put a lot more treatment systems. So we treat our wastewater. Now in 3 of our projects, we are using tertiary treated water for concrete. And we get that water. If you test it, you can drink that water. You just boil that water, you can drink. They're treated to that level, and we are using it for our works. Our treated water from Bangalore is being sent to Kolar and Chikbalapur regions, which are about 60 and 100 kilometers away, where they're filling up lakes and they're providing drinking water. So we're treating that way. No other city in India treats its wastewater. Surat and Bangalore are the only cities which treat their wastewater. You have East Kolkata wetlands, they do it. And thankfully for the scientists who fought to retain the wetlands. So this is what you have to talk to your developers. Are you talking those things? Are you asking where are you going to get water? Your water has arsenic in West Bengal. What are you doing? If you did good rainwater harvesting, you would be drinking that water. You could use arsenic water for bathing, for plants and stuff, but for drinking and cooking you shouldn't. And if you did simple rainwater harvesting, you could be healthier. Look at all that. So subsidy in Bangalore happens to the rich. The poor still pay 90 rupees a kiloliter. They pay high cost of water, they pay high cost with health, a lot of things. So we need that equity, and that's when we start paying. That's when architects start asking questions of this nature.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Architect Vishwanath, for explaining it so beautifully. And thank you, everyone, for your patience. I now call upon stage Honorary Joint Secretary, IIA West Bengal Chapter, Shanta Vishwas, Architect Shanta Vishwas, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Esteemed architects, colleagues, and fellow champions of design, as we conclude this inspiring celebration of International Women's Day, I stand before you filled with immense gratitude. Today we have witnessed the incredible power and diverse perspectives of women in shaping the world around us. To the pioneering women who lead the way, we want to acknowledge the pioneers who shattered the glass ceilings and redefined what it means to be an architect. Your courage, vision, and groundbreaking design have paved the way for generations of women to follow. To the architect who inspire us today, a round of applause to the remarkable women architects in this room. You are a testament to the ongoing evolution of architecture, pushing boundaries with your creativity, innovation, and dedication to creating spaces that are both impactful and beautiful. To a more equitable future, as we move forward, let's carry the theme of embrace equity beyond today. Let's champion initiatives that create a truly inclusive field of architecture where women have equal opportunities to thrive at every stage of their careers. Thank you to our sponsors for this event, Messrs. Kone Elevators India Private Limited, who bring the word international to our doorstep through the cutting-edge technological advances in elevator and escalator design and capabilities that they make available to us as architects. We deeply appreciate your presence and sponsorship to this event. To the organizers for fostering this incredible event, and to our esteemed speaker, Architect Chitra Vishwanath, for taking time off her busy schedule to come all the way to Kolkata and for sharing her valuable insights, and to each and every one of you, our fellow members of WB chapters of IIA, your presence and participation made this a truly special occasion. Together, let's build a world where women architects continue to shape the future of design, creating a built environment that celebrates equity, innovation, and power of human ingenuity. Thank you once again, wishing all of you a wonderful continuation of International Women's Day as we celebrate the women in our lives. Thank you everyone for participation. The dinner is being served in the floor above. Good night. Thank you.
Help us with for this organizing and all. So just come up on stage and have a small token of appreciation from Kone.